Sir, in 1992, I was raising 4 little boys, and I was struck in my heart by a statement that Ross Perot made in that day. He said, when our nation ceases to be an economic superpower, it will no longer be a superpower. And you can't be a superpower when you're carrying a boatload of debt.
Right.
He said, we're swatting at flies with our domestic issues like flies in the kitchen and paying no attention to the gorilla that's running up the front steps called debt.
Yes.
And he said when he was told that he had no experience at running in public office, he didn't need to be running for the President of the United States. He said, I'll be the first to tell you I have no experience. I have no experience at running up a $3 trillion debt. He said, I'm experienced at getting things done, and getting us out of debt assures a peace and tranquility for our children and our children's children. Well, that was $10 trillion in debt ago.
Yes.
We're $13 trillion in debt now. Where will it stop? 2 questions. Will it go to $100 trillion? And if it does, when whoever it is we owe all this money to decides to call the debt due, what does my grandchildren have to look forward to? What is their scenario in that day?
Great question. Great question. Share your concern. Number 1, it stops when we get the people out of office that are allowing it to run up. That's when it stops. The only office in Washington, D.C. that can single-handedly change the spending culture in Washington, D.C. is the office of the president. But we haven't had a president, Republican or Democrat, who has used the power of the veto to force a change in the culture that goes on in Washington, D.C. We have not. Doesn't matter what party you're talking about. So that's when it stops. And the reason for that is that we got the 3 branches of government, as you know. The president has all of that power, and the veto power they don't use to change the culture. What happens is they get elected, they become president, they're so excited to be president, and then they'll have some of these long-time staffers come in and say, Mr. President, you're going to have to approve this earmark, or we're going to make some of your own party members mad. If it were me, let them get mad. That's the problem. You can't make everybody happy when you're trying to do the right thing for the people. So it stops when we change the people that are continuing to spend all of this money. You're absolutely right. Secondly, I agree with you 100%. When we are no longer an economic superpower, I think Ross Perot said it as you indicated, we are no longer a superpower. Because if we are not an economic superpower, that's going to hurt us, keep us from being a military superpower. And I don't apologize for having the biggest, baddest, greatest military on the planet. I don't apologize for that. I don't apologize for us having a great military. I don't apologize for what they call American exceptionalism. We are an exceptional country, and some of us want to keep it that way. Don't get me going. This country is great because of the greatness of its people and the greatness of what we stand for. We know that if we send more Democrats, the corruption is only going to get worse. Trying to buy off a candidate in Pennsylvania, trying to buy off a candidate in Colorado, buying votes to pass the health care reform legislation. I mean, it is just, it's corruption, and they're not even ashamed of it. They don't even try to hide it. But I do believe that it starts with changing control of the House, because the House does control the purse strings. And if you control the purse strings, there are a lot of things that can be done, but we'll have to hold them accountable, okay?
We've got Allie.
Allie. Now, Allie was supposed to be the last one. How'd you sneak in there?
This nice gentleman let me go.
Oh, he did? Okay. And then you go last, all right. I was going to take the question in a second. How do you know he's a nice gentleman? You're making an assumption. Yes, he's a nice gentleman. Go ahead, Allie.
Well, apparently our country was founded on Christian values. So with our country going to where it's taking God out of our values, where is it going to end up?
If we let government take God out of our culture, we have failed. We have failed. We we ain't gonna let that happen. We're not going to let that happen. In God we trust is on all of the currency for a reason. It's because the founders believed in God. Secondly, the president went abroad and made a statement that I felt personally insulted by when he tried to tell the rest of the world we are not a Christian nation. Yes, we are. We are a Judeo-Christian nation. And so, Allie, that is very astute of you, because it has been written and documented many times that if you want to destroy a country, first destroy its belief, its values. Then that will help to destroy the family. And then after you destroy the family, then it is going to crumble from within. I believe it was Nikita Khrushchev, who used to be the head of USSR when there was a USSR, who said back in the 1950s, America will not be destroyed by a foreign force from outside its borders. He said America will eventually destroy itself from within. This is from somebody that didn't like us. And it was also back in the 1950s, because they did not have faith in their culture. They were a godless USSR. It was during the 50s that the United States Congress of the United States voted to add one nation under God with liberty and justice for all, because we are a God-fearing Christian nation. We are not going to let them take it out, Allie. We're not going to let them take it out. Very, very astute question. And she's a young person. See, we got young people who get it, who can connect the dots, who know what's going on. All right, the nice gentleman.
Lewis.
Lewis.
One question was raised about how we teach our young people, and I'm a former Marine, and I became aware that there are two verses, and we need to hear the second verse, which says, "Oh, thus be it ever, when free men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation, blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that has made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust, and the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave."
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lewis. Great job. Allie, he is a nice man. He's a nice man. Thank you. What a way to end a show. Save that, Shani B. Save that. That's all right. Let me close with a few remarks. I want to do two things in this section. First, explain prayerful consideration. And for the first time, part two will be, if I were president,